The Asus Zenfone 2 is here, which is beast of a smartphone with 4 GB of RAM, which is just an overkill if you ask me. This year we saw companies like Asus, OnePlus and Alcatel launching phones at just half of the price of the flagship phones from bigger guns like Samsung, HTC and LG. These smaller players are trying to win by pairing an appealing price with surprisingly robust performance. In Asus' case, a low price tag and unproven processor could be seen as handicaps, but they don't hold it back from hanging with the big guns. The Asus Zenfone 2 is technically a mid-range smartphone, but it certainly doesn't act or feel like one. Things aren't particularly different or unique in terms of design, and the inspiration from existing devices is obvious. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. And the build quality is definitely solid. It's made of plastic like its predecessors are, but the phone doesn't feel cheap in hand and it's very well put together. The device comes with rounded corners and the back has a significant curve to it that tapers down towards the edges, making for a very comfortable feel in the hand. The plastic bag features a fox metallic coating, which results in not only a great look but also allows for a good grip, while preventing the bag from collecting fingerprints. The back cover is also removable, giving you access to 2 SIM slots and a micro SD card slot. That said, battery is still sealed and non-removable. For buttons, it houses the capacitive keys. Design-wise, the Zenfone 2 is still a very sleek looking device overall, even if I do wish it was slightly smaller for an easier handling experience. For starters, the power button is up top next to the headphone jack, which is actually quite unfortunate given the hand gymnastics required to reach it. The power button is also extremely flush with the surface and isn't the easiest to press. A double tap to wake and sleep gesture is available though, which luckily means that you won't find yourself reaching the power button all that often. Like most of LG's current smartphone lineup, the volume rocker of the Zenfone 2 has been moved to the back and also come with a slightly rigid texture, making it very easy to reach and find by feel. The micro USB port is at the bottom of the device with speaker found at the back. Let's talk about the display. The Asus Zenfone 2 features a large 5.5-inch IPS LCD display with a 1080p resolution, resulting in a pixel density of 403 ppi. Quad HD may be currently trending, but Full HD is nothing to scoff at and is certainly impressive given the budget-friendly nature of this device. The display experience is great, providing everything you would expect from a high-end panel. The screen is sharp, vivid, bright enough to see easily in broad daylight and offers fantastic viewing angles. 5.5 inches is a good size for media consumption and you'll have a great time watching videos or playing games on this display. The default settings in terms of color calibration are perfectly fine, but you do have the option to tweak the settings for more to your liking. Now comes the boasting feature of this device, the performance. Under the hood, the Asus Zenfone 2 packs a 64-bit Intel Atom Z3580 processor clocked at 2.3 GHz, backed by the PowerVR 6430 GPU, and is also the first smartphone to boast 4 GB of RAM. Amazing, huge RAM. Keep in mind though that the other versions of the device that come with 2 GB of RAM and feature the 1.8 GHz Intel Atom Z3560 processor, so the performance may vary depending on which variant you choose. When it comes to the performance of the 4GB version, the device feels every bit as snappy and responsive as a high-end flagship. Animations are smooth, applications open quickly, it handles gaming extremely well, and with this much RAM on board, multitasking is like breeze. 4GB of RAM may be overkill for some, but the Zenfone 2 is certainly a fantastic budget-friendly option for power users. The device packs a standard suite of connectivity options including support for 4G LTE, The 16GB, 32GB and 64GB and even 128GB of onboard storage is available, with further expansion via microSD card possible up to 64GB. Holy shit, that's whole lot of storage. The rear speaker is denoted by a very large speaker grill that gives the illusion of the phone packing a powerful speaker. That is unfortunately not the case though. With it having just a small single driver placed on the left side of the grill, the sound quality is adequate, but it doesn't very get loud when compared to some other devices with similar speaker setups. The Asus Zenfone 2 comes with a 13 megapixel rear shooter with a dual tone LED flash and a respectable aperture of f2.0. Like previous generations, this device also features a Asus Pixel Master technology that is supposed to provide better shots and video in low light conditions. Camera application is fairly straightforward and also easy to use, and includes all the usual settings that you would expect, such as white balance, exposure, ISO and 1080p video capture shooting. And some typical shooting modes are also available, such as manual mode, HDR and panorama. If you enjoy taking self-portraits or selfies, the front-facing 5 megapixel camera with a wide angle lens will certainly get the job done. The camera comes with a real-time beautification feature, and there is also a selfie panorama mode that will help you easily fit your friends or family into the shot. The Asus Zenfone 2 comes with a lollipop out of the box, but as mentioned, it is Android 5.0 and not the newer Android 5.0.2 or the latest Android 5.1 version. On top is the Asus Zen UI, but it does retain some of the material design elements of the lollipop, noticeable in the notification shade and recent app screen. That said, those familiar with the Zen UI will still feel right at home here. There are a lot of bloatware applications on board, but a handful of features do add to the overall experience, like an easy mode that creates a simplified interface. Zenfone 2 comes with a non-removable 3000 mAh battery that, coupled with the power-frugal Intel Atom chip, should allow for some great battery life, but that unfortunately has not been the case. As you can see from the screenshots, while it is possible to get a full day of use out of the device with around 4 hours of screen on time, there are significantly battery drain issues from the Android OS that is drastically shortening the battery life. It is difficult to pinpoint whether the cause is the initial version of Android 5.0 Lollipop, which has been known to be buggy, with a lot of issues being resolved with the jump to Android 5.0.2 and now the Android 5.1, or whether the problem is with the Zen UI itself. Thankfully, Asus is aware of this issue and is working hard to fix the problem. That means a future update should eventually solve the battery woes. On the bright side, the Zenfone 2 does come with a fast charging technology, which Asus claims will restore 60% of the battery life in little more than half an hour. The Asus Zenfone 2 is available in most regions right now, like China, Taiwan, India, US and Europe. Available colors include black, gold, grey, red and white, with pricing starting at just $199 for the base model, that is 2GB RAM version and 1.8 GHz. For higher models, it would be like the difference of $50 to $100 above the base price, depending upon the RAM and storage option. So there you have it, a closer look at the Asus Zenfone 2. Once the battery life issues are resolved, this device is going to be a major contender in Android smartphone world, boasting a beautiful design, powerful specifications and a solid user experience overall that will cater to a variety of users. It's hard to imagine that all of this is available at such a budget-friendly price point. Asus is proving once again that you don't have to pay a lot to get a lot. And Asus Zenfone 2 is certainly a new standard for the affordable smartphone market.